The rain hammered down on Han Group's private chapel. As Han Seo-jun stood frozen at the altar, his hands trembling around a small velvet box. 300 guests watched in silence. The doors stayed shut. Somewhere outside, a car engine roared to life and sped away into the storm, carrying away the only woman he had ever loved, and a secret that would take 7 years to surface. 20 minutes earlier, Adaeze Okonkwo had been laughing in the bridal suite, adjusting the veil Kim Un-so had spent an hour perfecting. "You look like a queen," Un-so whispered, eyes glassy with tears. Adaeze clutched her stomach instinctively, the test results from that morning burning a hole in her purse. Positive. She hadn't told Seo-jun yet. She wanted to tell him after the vows, as a gift. Then her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her answer. A distorted voice filled her ear. "If you marry Han Seo-jun today, your brother Chidi will not survive the week. There's a truck driver in Enugu who has already been paid. The only way to stop this is to disappear now, before the vows. Don't call anyone. Don't tell anyone. We are watching." The line went dead. Adaze's blood turned to ice. Her hands shook so violently the veil slipped from her fingers. Un-so turned, confused. "Ada, what's wrong? You're white as a sheet." "I have to go," Adaeze whispered, already moving toward the back exit, kicking off her heels. "Go where? Ada, the ceremony starts in 15 minutes. Seo-jun is waiting." "Please, Un-so, don't follow me. Don't tell him where I went. Just tell him I'm sorry. Tell him I loved him." "Ada, you're scaring me." But Adaeze was already gone, racing down the service stairs in her wedding gown, barefoot, tears streaming down her face, her phone clutched to her chest like a lifeline to a brother 9,000 kilometers. In the chapel, Seo-jun checked his watch for the 5th time. His mother, Han Mi-young, sat in the front row, her face a careful mask. Beside her, Han Ji-hoon, Seo-jun's cousin and the company's rising star, leaned over with a sympathetic frown that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Maybe she got cold feet?" Ji-hoon murmured, just loud enough for the row behind to hear. "She wouldn't," but doubt was already creeping into his voice. 10 more minutes passed. Then Un-so burst through the side doors, gown bunched in her fists, sobbing. "She's gone! Adaze's gone! She just ran!" Gasps rippled through the chapel. Cameras, because of course there were cameras, this was the wedding of the year, began flashing immediately. Seo-jun stood there, the velvet box slipping from his fingers and clattering onto the marble floor, the wedding ring rolling away into the shadows beneath the pews. His mother's hand flew to her mouth. Han Ji-hoon stood slowly, his expression arranging itself into something that looked like shock but felt underneath like satisfaction. By morning, every tabloid in Seoul carried the story. Nigerian bride flees chaebol wedding, gold digger exposed. Nobody asked why. Nobody looked for her. And somewhere over the Atlantic, Adaeze Okonkwo sat in economy class, gripping a one-way ticket to Lagos, her wedding gown stuffed into a garbage bag, sobbing silently into the darkness. 7 years later, Han Seo-jun was a different man. The warmth that once lived in his eyes had been replaced with something colder, sharper, the look of a man who had built an empire out of heartbreak. He ran Han Group's Africa expansion division now, a punishment posting his mother had quietly arranged years ago, hoping distance would heal him. It hadn't. If anything, it had hardened him further, because every street in Lagos, every market, every face reminded him of her. He told himself he came to Nigeria for business. He told himself the ache in his chest when the plane landed was nothing. He told himself a lot of things. That morning, his driver took a wrong turn near a primary school in Yaba, and Seo-jun glanced out the window, and the world stopped. A woman stood behind a small wooden table, selling chin-chin and meat pies to school children in worn but neatly pressed clothes. Her hair was tied back simply, sweat glistening on her forehead from the heat, but there was no mistaking that face, the face that had haunted him for 7 years. "Stop the car," Seo-jun said, his voice barely above a whisper. "Sir? Stop the car." The driver swerved to the curb. Seo-jun's hands shook as he reached for the door handle. Before he could move, a small boy, maybe 6 or 7, came running out of the school gate, school bag bouncing on his back, straight into the woman's arms. "Mummy, Mummy, look what I drew!" The boy held up a crumpled paper. Adaeze laughed, that same laugh Seo-jun remembered, and knelt to look at the drawing. "It's beautiful, Kelechi. Is that a dragon?" "It's a phoenix. Teacher said phoenixes come back even after they burn up completely." "Did she now?" Adaeze said softly, smoothing his hair. The boy turned then, and Seo-jun's heart stopped. Even from across the street, even through the tinted glass, he could see it. The shape of the eyes, the slight dimple on the left cheek, his mother's nose, his own father's stubborn jaw. "Mummy, Auntie Bisi said I look like my daddy. Is that true? You never show me his picture." Adaeze's smile faltered for just a moment before she recovered. "One day, baby, one day I'll tell you everything." Seo-jun sat frozen in the car, unable to breathe, unable to move, as 7 years of grief and rage and confusion crashed over him at once. That night, Seo-jun didn't sleep. He sat in his hotel suite, running calculations he didn't want to run. The boy's age, the timeline, the wedding date, 9 months back. It all fit. It all fit perfectly. He had a son. He had a son, and she had hidden him for 7 years. The next morning, he had his assistant track down the school's address and waited outside until the afternoon bell rang. When Adaeze emerged to collect Kelechi, she froze mid-step, color draining from her face. "Seo-jun," she breathed. 7 years, Seo-jun said, voice shaking with restrained fury. 7 years, Adaeze? You disappeared. You let everyone call you a gold digger. You let me think. His voice cracked. "And all this time you had my son?" "Keep your voice down," Adaeze said, still trying to maintain composure. "I will not keep my voice down. Do you have any idea what those 7 years did to me? I searched for you. I had investigators. Nothing, nothing. And you were here, raising my child, and you never—" "Because I had no choice," Adaeze screamed back, tears streaming down her face. Heads were turning now, parents and children staring. "You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to run on my wedding day? To give birth alone? To raise him with nothing, while everyone called me a liar and a thief? Then why?" Seo-jun's voice broke completely now. "Just tell me why." Adaeze's whole body trembled. Kelechi tugged at her sleeve, frightened by the shouting strangers. "Mummy, who is this man? Why is he angry?" The question hit both adults like a physical blow.
Adaeze knelt and whispered something to Kelechi, who reluctantly walked towards Unse, who had moved to Lagos with Adaeze years ago and was waiting there nearby, watching this unfold with her heart in her throat. When the boy was out of earshot, Adaeze turned back to Seo-jun, her face raw with 7 years of buried pain. "On our wedding day," she began, voice trembling, "I got a call. Someone said if I married you, they would kill Chidi, my brother. They said a truck accident was already arranged in Enugu. They told me not to tell anyone, not to call anyone, just disappear before the vows." Seo-jun stared at her, the fury in his eyes slowly being replaced by horror. "What? Who?"
I didn't know who. I still don't, not for certain, but I had just found out I was pregnant that morning, Seo-jun. I was supposed to surprise you with it. Instead, I ran, terrified, not knowing if my unborn child or my little brother would survive the day. You should have told me. We could have protected Chidi together. And risk you confronting whoever made that call? Risk them deciding to hurt you or your mother or... I didn't know what they were capable of. I thought if I disappeared, if I made it look like I abandoned you, they would have no reason to hurt anyone else. I thought I was protecting all of you. And the letters Unso mentioned crying about? She said you wrote. I wrote you every month for the first 2 years, Seo-jun. I explained everything. I sent pictures of Kelechi. I begged you to understand, to forgive me, to... Her voice shattered. And you never replied, not once. So eventually I stopped. I told myself you hated me, that you'd moved on, that maybe it was better this way. I never received any letters, Seo-jun said, his mind racing back 7 years to his old assistant, Choi Sung-min, who had handled all his correspondence during that dark period. Sung-min, who had abruptly resigned and moved to Busan 18 months after the wedding, right around the time Adaeze said the letters stopped. Someone intercepted them, Seo-jun said slowly, the pieces clicking into place with sickening clarity. Someone has been controlling information on both sides for 7 years. If you've ever felt the gut punch of finding out the truth came 7 years too late, drop a like right now, because what happens next will break your heart even further. Seo-jun flew back to Seoul within 24 hours, Adaeze and Kelechi's existence burning in his mind like wildfire. He went straight to his mother's estate, bursting into her study without knocking. "I have a son," he said without preamble. "Adaeze's been raising him in Lagos for 7 years, and someone threatened Chidi's life on our wedding day, Mother. Someone intercepted letters between us for years. Someone wanted us apart badly enough to threaten a child's life and orchestrate a 7-year deception." Han Mi-young's face went pale, ashen, as memory after memory rearranged itself in her mind. 7 years ago, Ji-hoon came to me. He showed me documents, bank statements. He said Adaeze's family had financial troubles, that she'd taken money from a rival company to sabotage our merger with the Lee Group by infiltrating our family. He said if the wedding proceeded, it would destroy us. He said he would handle it quietly to protect you from scandal. And you believed him? I was scared, Seo-jun. I thought I was protecting you. Ji-hoon said he had someone persuade her to leave before the wedding, that it would look better than a public scandal.
He didn't persuade her, Mother. He threatened to kill her little brother. He has been lying to this entire family for 7 years while building his position to take over Han Group. Mi Young's hands flew to her mouth as the full horror settled in. Oh God, oh my God, what have I done? Within 48 hours, Seo-jun's investigators, now working at full speed with his mother's full cooperation, uncovered everything. Bank transfers from Ji-hun's personal accounts to a private security firm in Enugu dated the morning of the wedding. Records showing Choi Sung-min had received consulting fees from Ji-hun for 18 months before his sudden resignation, and in Sung-min's old apartment, still owned by a shell company linked to Ji-hun, investigators found a sealed box containing 7 years of unopened letters, photographs of a growing boy, and Adaeze's desperate, heartbroken words that had never reached the man they were written for. When confronted with the evidence in front of the Han Group board, Ji-hun's carefully constructed composure finally cracked. "You don't understand," he hissed, eyes wild. "Seo-jun was always the favorite, always handed everything, while I worked twice as hard for half the recognition. That marriage would have cemented his position permanently. I did what I had to do." "You threatened a child's life," Seo-jun said, voice deadly quiet. "You stole 7 years from my son, from the woman I loved, from my own mother's peace of mind, for ambition." Security escorted Ji-hun out as he screamed about loyalty and sacrifice, his voice echoing down marble halls that would never welcome him again.
3 weeks later, Seo-jun returned to Lagos, not as a businessman this time, but as a father seeking forgiveness he wasn't sure he deserved. He found Adaeze at the small apartment she shared with Unsu, Kelechi's laughter drifting from an open window. "I know the truth now," Seo-jun said softly when she opened the door. "Ji-hun, everything, the threats, the letters, all of it." Adaeze's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't move to embrace him. 7 years of pain didn't disappear with one confession. "And what now, Seo-jun? You know the truth. Does that erase 7 years? Does that give Kelechi back the father he never had?" "No," Seo-jun admitted. "Nothing can give us those years back. But I'm asking, not as the heir to Han Group, not with lawyers or contracts, just as a man asking for a chance to be a father to my son and maybe, eventually, if you'll allow it, to earn back what I lost with you." Kelechi appeared at the doorway, looking between the 2 adults with curious eyes. "Mummy, is this my daddy?" The silence stretched, heavy with 7 years of heartbreak, 7 years of unanswered letters, 7 years of a love stolen by someone else's ambition. Adaeze finally looked at Seo-jun, really looked at him, the exhaustion, the regret, the desperate hope in his eyes, and then knelt down to Kelechi's level. "Yes, baby, this is your daddy." Kelechi's face lit up with a joy that broke both adults' hearts all over again, and he ran straight into Seo-jun's arms without hesitation, the way only a child who has been waiting his whole life for this moment could. Over Kelechi's small shoulder, Seo-jun met Adaeze's eyes, both of them crying now, both of them finally understanding everything. "I'm not asking you to forgive me overnight," Seo-jun said quietly. "I know I have to earn it every single day for as long as it takes." Adaeze wiped her tears, a small, fragile smile breaking through 7 years of pain. "Then I guess you'd better start. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now, because we have so many more powerful Afro-Korean dramas just like this one waiting for you. Drop a comment below. Do you think Adaeze should forgive him completely, or does Seo-jun still have a long way to go? Smash that like button if you believe love can survive even 7 years of lies, and share this video with someone who needs to believe in second chances today. See you in the next story.